when you finally understand what risks and error budgets are. If you miss our videos on site reliability engineering and then SLIs and SLOs and SLAs, check them out first. So error budget lets you track your expected reliability metrics in your SLA and SLO so that you don't have to wait for the end of a period to realize you're not meeting those expected results. You imagine if you suddenly wake up 10 months in the year and you realize you've already blown through all of your ability to fail and you're already not meeting those SLAs. That's why we use error budgets. Let's say one of your SLO is to ensure your uptime is 3 nines, so 99.9% in a year. You need to create a better way to track this down to a weekly or bi-weekly basis, for example. You don't want to wait to realize you've already exhausted your options. So first, you will start by doing a risk analysis. So what is a risk analysis? The risk analysis is really a table where you're going to list all of the various factors that could potentially lead your team and organization not to meet their service level objectives, SLOs. So you're going to list on that list all of the potential service level objective violation. How might things fail? How did systems fail in the past? How frequently this could happen? How severe will that be? And so on. Now that you have that list, you can start comparing various scenarios. What if something with low impact happens frequently? Or what if something with tremendous impacts happen rarely? What if both happen? How do you keep track of what might happen so you can define what is acceptable in a smaller period of time? You need to account for failures, but you also need to think about planned downtime as well, because these will be impacting your services. So that's why you tell me, Nick, how do I know what might or might not happen? Well, you guessed it. That's your risk analysis. There's some guesswork in it, but you also can predict things and give a little bit of padding and room for error. You don't want to be too pessimistic, but you also want to be realistic. So let's take a very simple example of a database that is updated every 2 months. And every 2 months, you will see about 2 hours of downtime to update it. So that's 1 hour per month. That's, of course, if everything is going well. So let's take a look at what that looks like. If we take 60 minutes times 12 months and times 100% of your users, that is effectively 720 bad minutes. So of course, if you compare to your desired uptime, which really gives you only 525.6 minutes total for the entire year, you already will be using 720 minutes of bad time for the whole year. That's not going to work. So as you can see here, just with the 99.9% uptime and just with the database upgrade, with no downtime for other reasons, you will not even be able to meet that SLA. That's not going to work. So you have a couple of options. Think of replacing database by something else that could do better, easier upgrade, or you could implement a blue-green deployment so you could easily rotate between databases while doing the upgrade, but that's not always easy either. So that's a good exercise to do for every kind of maintenance and estimated downtimes when you have an issue. So now let's assume you managed to find a new database that only takes about 5 minutes per month to be updated. So now you're going to have 5 minutes per month times 12 times 100% of your users. You only going to see 60 minutes of downtimes per year out of your 525 minutes, a whole year of downtime for 99.9% uptime. That's well within the constraints. It's about 11% total. That's not bad, but that's not the only type of issue you're going to be seeing. You're going to find issues created by human error or cloud providers that may or may not affect 100% of your users. So let's take a second example. Let's say maybe you see during peak hours, massive latency that's impacting about 10% of your users for 30 minutes every week. So that would be 30 minutes times 52 weeks times 10%. That would effectively be 156 bad minutes per year. That's still well within your constraints of 99.9% of time. But it's starting to add up, right? Of course, you must think of malicious actors and maybe someone going after your system with a denial of service attack that could potentially impact your entire system for hours. That's where, of course, you want to start thinking both reactively and proactively to add cyber defenses to your stack. Some of the important pieces of information to collect for each risk assessment are the following: the TDD, the time to detect, the TTR, time to recover, the frequency per year, the percentage of users impacted, and of course the total bad minutes per year. That's what your risk analysis table must look like. Once you've compiled your list, you now have a risk analysis to understand if you're going to meet your SLA and SLOs or not. Very often you'll realize that even conservative risk analysis will tell you that you're not going to meet them. But that's still tremendous information because you can now prioritize what to improve based on the largest impact to your bad minutes saved. Anything that is over 25% of your error budget is obviously a no-brainer, but you also want to take a look at simple things that could potentially prevent some of the issues in the system. For example, you could implement chaos engineering. Check out our video segment about it. With chaos engineering, you can demonstrate that you can be resilient if a cloud region goes down, for example. Your orchestration on Kubernetes can definitely help you auto-scale up and down to address the latency issues during peak hours as well. Ideally, you want to leave room for mistakes and be under 80% of your error total capacity. And just in case, if you have to tackle multiple small items, you should also do that and leave room for that as well. Obviously, if you find out that you're not going to be able to meet your SL and SLOs, it is time to go back to your stakeholders, first internally and then externally, to review those expectations because putting your head in the sand won't magically solve the problem. There you have it. Risk analysis and error budget management are key concepts to help you ensure that your SLAs are achievable. It's obviously easy for senior leadership to magically come up with some fancy numbers of uptime with 5 nines when most don't realize this means that your entire system cannot go down more than 5.26 minutes per year or 26.3 seconds per month. Most don't realize that this is not achievable. And while cloud providers made it seem easy, it isn't. And it is probably not a number you can achieve overnight with a tremendous investment and a DevSecOps maturity at the highest level. This course obviously can help you get there, but things will take time.